All right, everyone, welcome to another titillating Health and Human Services Committee meeting. This is August 18th, 2026 at 3:45 p.m. We are going to start with Human Services. How do they get to it first?
They got their agenda in early.
It's these colorful slides, I imagine.
Oh, there's
Puts you right to the front.
Yes, we'll get to those in a minute. Good afternoon, everybody. Nice to see all of you.
Yeah, by you.
Hi, Dan, how are you?
Very well, thank you. I'll try to make it brief. We have a total of 4 personnel resolutions today, 2 backfills and 2 creative bills. I'll start with the first one, which is request to backfill a behavioral health social worker / senior behavioral health social worker. This is due to a resignation. Unfortunately, there's a family matter that this individual feels they need to tend to, which will take them away from their employment with us. So I ask you for your support to backfill this position.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Second personnel resolution, similarly backfilled due to a resignation. This is in regard to the behavioral health care coordinator title. This individual left to go to another department within the county.
Further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Third resolution is a create and fill for a records management technician. This is a new position to us. I believe I've spoken about this briefly here before, but the amount of medical records requests that we're receiving in our department has risen significantly to the point where we're being told it's a full-time job. I tried to mitigate this in a different way by giving grade increases to 2 of the support staff. One of those 2 support staff has left us to go to the controller's office, and that leaves us with the 1 support staff. So in an effort to mitigate the increase in medical records requests, I'd like to create this separate position so it's dedicated and that individual can focus their entire time to filling these requests.
That's 23.1.
Yes.
So you have a budget for that when you create a new position?
The first part again, Supervisor Neal, please.
Yeah, you have a budget for the create a new position or what?
Budget.
You have the budget.
It's a budget. Yes, yes, thank you.
And it went through.
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
David moved it.
Oh.
Okay.
Brenda on the second. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And lastly, create and fill a senior nurse practitioner. Currently, we have a consultant that is with us 21 hours a week. She's expressed an interest in joining us full-time. She would not only bring the 21 hours over as a revenue-generating nurse practitioner, there will be additional 7 hours of revenue generation, bring her to 28. The remaining 7 hours, she would supervise the other psychiatric nurse practitioner that we have within the department, as well as the 2 registered nurses and the LPN. I technically supervise them administratively, but that's not adequate. They need a clinical supervisor. They need someone with a medical background. It's actually put us in an exposure sort of situation, not having a person with a medical background supervising them. So I'd like to correct that by doing this.
She was a contractor.
She was a contractor.
And that's why we moved to that.
Yes. we're gonna
Point
do
4 to
that.
point 1, it's all in a wash. All right.
Yep.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
So with that, I'd like to invite my Deputy Director of Administration, Melissa Schneider, up to the table to join me for a brief presentation.
You're welcome.
It's been a while since we've talked about the overall status of the Department of Human Services and the various programs that operate out of the Department of Human Services. So I thought it would be appropriate just to give you a brief overview, allow you to ask a few questions. And if there's additional questions beyond the time that we have here today, please reach out to myself and Melissa. And I also thought this would be a nice way to introduce you to Melissa, who's taken over for Joe Ambrose, who's since retired as Deputy Director of Administration. And I just want to remind everybody that Melissa is not only a Deputy Director of Administration, but she's remained on as the Planner Contract Manager. So we've taken that efficient approach of combining the 2 positions into one, and it's worked out fabulously. And I really appreciate all the dedication and skill that Melissa's brought to the department. So thank you. Melissa, you want to take it away?
Sure. Recently we went over our 2025 financials. I just want to share a bit with all of you. Just to start, to put some context to it, we have 4 programs. I'm not sure how much everyone here knows, but we have 4 programs that I considered in looking at the whole department. We have the clinic, which is the largest department, our adult care coordination, our children's coordination, and our LGU, or local governmental unit. 3 out of those 4 programs generate revenue. So that's what we looked at when we looked at the overall financials for 2025. We have several sources of revenue that come into the department. As I said, 3 out of our 4 programs provide reimbursable services. That's the clinic and both the care coordination teams. We also receive a little over $1 million that we keep in-house from 3 state agencies, OMH, OASIS, and OPWDD. We also generate revenue by providing some contract services. For instance, we have a behavioral health worker who is at Columbia Green, and they pay us to have him there full time. We receive sometimes like one-off state aid. We receive startup funding to create school satellites at New Lebanon School District. So we receive revenue that way. And then we also get what we call federal salary share or Medicaid admin claiming. Since we provide Medicaid reimbursable services, we generate a certain amount each year. But of course, we have expenses too.
Oh, no.
Our salary and fringe is pretty high. We have a big department, about 60 staff. We have relatively high consulting expenses. Most consultants, psychiatrists, and nurse practitioners. We also have, we have billing staff under the treasurer's office, but they also use Beacon, who provides some consulting services to them. We have other consulting expenses. Our care coordination programs, even though we're generating revenue with them, we also get charged per member. So every time we have a client, we pay a nominal fee for that as well. So that's a cost to us. Other OTPS or other than personal services. So just our regular costs, utilities, advertising, things like that. And then we have our corporate overhead, we call it. So our space allocation for our floor, the printing that gets charged to us, legal fees, HR fees, all of that gets charged to us, I included in this as well. So when looking at 2025, we thought it would be helpful to look at it in context to previous years. As you can see, our revenue is higher than it's been the previous years. It was about 6.6 million for this year, well, for 2025. However, our expenses have gone up as well. They were about 7.8 million in 2025, up from 6.4 in 2022. We have historically operated at a deficit. We continue to do so because of several factors, some of which we can control, some of which we can't. We only get reimbursed at a certain rate, and that will not change likely. However, we've managed to decrease the deficit, as you can see from, in 2022, it was 25%. It's down to 16%, 1.2 million for 2025.
That was 26.
Well, that's coming up. So there's a
There you
pretty
go.
chart. That's not 2026, but next slide.
Just before you go, are those reductions in staff reductions or are they across the board reductions?
Which reduction?
The
The deficit reduction?
yes.
No, that's actually, we're almost fully staffed. So it's not a reduction in staff.
That's
It's
great.
just
Okay.
generating more revenue
It's increasing our
and
efficiency.
trying to increase our
Terrific.
efficiency.
Thank you.
When we opened up to commercial insurance reimbursement, did that provide a big boost or is that still?
We need more than 10 minutes to answer that
Yeah.
question properly, Jim. But would you like to handle it?
Go ahead.
Long and the short of it is yes and no. It's a mixed bag. It's
Yeah.
a mixed blessing because yes, it increased the number of people that we serve. So that's good for the community. However, initially the reimbursement was moderate to poor. Most recently, the governor has required there to be parity of the private payers with the Medicaid rate. So we should be getting a better reimbursement for the service that we provide to those with commercial plans. That being said, the commercial plans, there's co-pays and things like that that show up on our accounts receivable as being outstanding. So it's challenging in that regard. The accounts receivable and billing conversation is a separate conversation, maybe for another time, because that is growing each month. But Melissa and others within the department are actively addressing that and trying to mitigate that and keep that at bay.
So the forecast for that is that it will continue to improve once you get through some of these issues.
I would hope so. I mean, I remember the conversation I had with all of you. You may not, because you have so many conversations with so many people, but you know, I was very upfront about the benefits and the risks of bringing back commercial insurance to our department, but I felt it was important to allow people with commercial insurance, private
That
insurance to
access
come
to
to the clinic,
services. Right.
to access our services.
Right. Got it. Thank you.
Prior to that, it was limited to Medicaid and Medicare, which was very limited.
Yeah, and this is the last slide that speaks to the first 6 months of 2026. By program, the clinic, we currently are at a census of about a little under 1,000. We were fully staffed until about 2 months ago, and you've heard we're replacing 2 social workers who resigned. The revenue for the clinic was about 1.7 million for the first 6 months of 2026. So we're tracking to be about 3.4 for the year for just the clinic. That's a little bit higher than 2025. Adult care coordination continues to grow. They currently have a client census of about 300. Mary Jo Berger, who's the supervisor of the adult team, is expanding. They're adding 1 FTE to accommodate the increased demand, and their revenues have grown pretty dramatically over the past couple of years. I think last year they were 1.2, and this year they're on track to maintain or exceed that. And then children's care coordination has historically and continues to have a lower census because it's kids. They have about 85 clients. Their revenue, the 2026 looks great. They're tracking higher than any previous year. However, they recently had some fluctuations in staffing, which may affect the 6 months from July to December. So we'll wait and see how that.
It could have an impact, but the remaining members of the team, we expect this fluctuation in staff to be temporary. The remaining members of the team are picking up the slack in terms of their absorbing those cases, which is no easy task because they all have full caseloads themselves. But it's a different reimbursement structure than the clinic, for example. You have to have a certain number of visits within the month to get reimbursed for that child. It's different than the clinic, whereas you have to have that direct contact with the person and then submit a claim to get reimbursed for. This is 2 visits face to face with an individual and then 1 collateral contact.
Is the satellite school program under the children's care coordination? Is it counted in
It's
that?
under the
Clinic.
It's under the clinic. Okay.
And that's it. Any questions?
To the satellite, just so you know, supervisors doing very well.
Well, I'm told, that's the reason I was curious as to where it was counted.
Yeah, it took a while. It always does, but once it starts gaining its momentum, they tend to do very, very well. The relationships get cultivated. Our worker gets familiarized with the school staff and so on and so forth, vice versa.
Do you have the capacity and personnel should a new school come forward looking for your services?
At the moment, it would be a challenge. We have approached them, Supervisor Collins. They have not responded to our calls and outreach for whatever reason. It's a bit lost on you, and I don't say that in a disparaging way towards them. I'm sure they have many fires and headaches that they're trying to deal with, but at this moment, it would be a challenge because of vacancies, and we also have in prior months we had a person out on a medical leave, a clinician out on a medical leave who won't be returning until probably March of 2027, and then we also had another person resign who's coming back part-time. And so we're looking to fill 3 vacancies at the moment, and we've been fortunate, but the resumes aren't piling up at our doorstep. That could change, and we're actively advertising. But we were lucky there for a while, being full staffed and having a good cohort with us, or sticking with us, and nobody's leaving for egregious reasons. 2 staff are leaving to take care, one of their child, the other one of a parent. Otherwise, they'd stay with us.
Well, it's distinct when Supervisor Ladanya called that meetings following the Uvalde shooting, how many schools came forward and wanted to have presence there, whether they could handle it budgetarily or not was the question.
Budget is the issue.
And we don't require them to pay. Again, New York State has enhanced the reimbursement to Article 31 clinics, OMH, Office of Mental Health licensed clinics like ours. It enhanced the reimbursement. We can make a much better financial go of it. Historically, we pulled out of
I remember
the 6 districts because we approached them and said, look, help us financially, help us meet us halfway, let's say. I think it was $700 a day. What this was what they would have to put out, and they declined. Then COVID came along, COVID quieted down, we reapproached them, and the only one that came forward at this point was 11 Up. So if someone came to us, Supervisor Collins, we would do what we could to meet that need. Absolutely. At this specific moment, I think everyone here can understand it would be a little challenging, but we are confident that we will fill those vacancies, and when we do, we will, be able to respond.
And the schools have their own people in there anyway, correct? This is in addition to their.
They have, that was their strategy. I
Yeah,
will
that's
speak
what you
for
said.
them,
Yeah,
just
it's still-
anecdotally,
Yeah.
that was their strategy,
Right.
bulk up their behavioral health staffing with social workers and
Right.
psychologists.
Yep.
But, there are very important differences between the way a school social worker operates in a district and the way our social workers who act as clinical service providers act in that environment. We're there to provide clinical care. School social workers could be providing everything from participating in an EAP to putting out a crisis to, formulating an assembly.
But the schools can still utilize our services, but just not having somebody in the school.
Right. Oh,
They
yeah.
can just come to us.
Absolutely.
Right, so they still have access to it. if it's
Absolutely, 100%.
necessary.
And they do.
But I remember sitting in the New Lebanon School District meeting, in which they said that proximity was key because parents don't have the resources to
Yes.
get their kids to other locations.
Especially in that case, which is the outlying parts of the county.
But thank you for doing the outreach, and people can get in line, and then when you have the resources, they can work carefully.
I'm optimistic that, districts will come to us at some point. Any further questions?
Can I just, because next week is budget presentations, and so I imagine you're bringing that and
And the our budget.
just, if you can, maybe it's already going to be built in, but to this question of trends, like, what has led to the, like a reduced deficit, if we're looking at the numbers and especially forecasting things, like what are the key trends that are happening at the federal level that you think could impact your budget in any way, just so that it's there, explanations or your best estimate of sort of factoring in the external landscape and looking at.
Absolutely.
Okay, sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
And I apologize, I normally stay for the entire meeting, but I have to go for a personal appointment, so thank you very much for your support.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We'll see if we-
Dan, if you did like those little treats, it doesn't look like I have many more, interest in that. Take it with you.
They weren't bad, but thank you.
Where they come from, our daily bread?
Yeah.
I remember.
All right, up next, DSS, Commissioner Gibson.
Go.
What's that?
Come on up there for the next meeting. You can take the time door number 1. I've got a Band-Aid if you need it.
That's what he claims.
There we go.
Okay, I have one, thing on the agenda. This resolution is to authorize the existing ones that we already have, and we added one more, not-for-profit to work with this coming year is the Spark of Hudson. So I was looking for authorization.
I have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
The MOUs total about 115,000, somewhere in that range. What percentage of that is your total program expenditure?
All of it.
It's all of it, okay. And so we're inking this in for next year. That will be it for programming.
Yes.
Because I also noticed that about 49% of that seems to go directly to Hudson.
I think.
And I'm just thinking about, we have a lot of success because we have a lot of not-for-profits that are doing great jobs in Hudson. But I'm just wondering how we can think about taking some of that success to a wider part of the county.
Yes, well, what I try to do is this year, if you're looking at the city of Hudson itself, they're gonna match what the other municipalities are getting. So they went from 6,000 to 2,800, trying to maximize the money into not-for-profits. But it is heavy.
But those not-for-profits do serve Hudson. I went through it
Yes,
already.
yes, yeah. If you look at, for the most part, got Game Sports. If you look at Hudson Pop
I went to all
Warner,
the websites, yeah.
yeah,
So the other question I had is the barista program. I really like the barista program and also the Greenport Rescue Squad because they're workforce development opportunities. That had a budget of 32 something, 3250, I think. Is that the full budget or is that the county
that's the
participation?
county participation.
Okay, do you know what the full budget is?
Do, but I don't have it
Okay.
here.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I didn't
I
have
can
a
get
chance
that.
to email you.
I can get that to
apologize.
you. No, I will get that to you. But point taken with the, I mean, this year again, we got less money. It just seems like we took on, Spark Hudson. There's very few more programs we can take on without,
It's easier for you to partner. I understand
Yeah.
that. There are a lot of good not-for-profits in Hudson for you to partner with, and that's on us to find those kinds of relationships in our parts of the county, but I am concerned about outside of it.
sure. One thing to note is the commissioner also helps us with some of his prevention funds. So the Business of Circus does service all the county programs, all the county summer camps. So we do try to make sure that we're trying to hit more than just Hudson. for
Well,
sure.
that was my other question. I'm sorry, I left my portfolio upstairs. Think differently. Are those funds in your budget or in Cornell's budget? Where are they?
Now in the counties,
County's budget. Okay, we have a separate line for that. Under what department?
that is a Jim Gray question.
Okay, does that seem to me, yours seemed to be the logical place for it, but it's, I didn't see it.
No, not ours.
You know where it is?
I'm not sure exactly. I mean, we had asked, they had to help coordinate it.
Yeah.
With Cornell.
Yeah. I didn't-
We've done
I'm
that,
looking
so
for
it
now, I didn't see
It could be a
anything.
direct line to Cornell, which we have
Okay,
funds for not-for-profits.
okay. Because I know that's a new program that serves the
Yes.
whole county.
And
And it's
it's
not reflected
expanded
there,
over the
right.
last 3 years. It's expanded.
Right.
So that's probably where it's got its own line, but
So if I
That's a
ask another
direct, that's a
question,
direct contract.
yes, but bringing up Think Differently, the Chatham Fair starts September 2nd. And we have the program again that will be the Sensory Safe Space Building over right near behind 4-H section over there. And September 2nd, Wednesday, first day is Sensory Day. So the no lights, no music will be turned off from 12 to 4 on that day. And we do get, great responses from folks that use the room. There's been over 500 people that participate using that room throughout the week. It might be duplicated, but I mean, it gets a lot of usage.
You have to tell those antique tractor pullers to keep it down.
Don't promote
Actually,
it.
they do during those hours. They even have the music turned down.
No, I wish they did that the whole fair.
Right?
I have no control.
Don't go.
I live miles away and I can hear that PA system.
So in terms of any other questions with the programming?
I'll move it.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
So one thing we did, and it was focused in Hudson, but our goal is to bring it countywide, is we reintroduced what was known as the Pepsi Hot Shot, but now we call it the Columbia County Hot Shot. So it's sort of like a pitch, hit and run, pump, pass and kick type of thing. We kind of piloted because I wanted to see what it would look like. And next year, we're going to try to open it up to all the summer camps that, and we'll converge on one. We're thinking maybe Greenport, that probably have the most accessible part for buses to come. So that's our goal, is to kind of open it up there. And then work with the Columbia Clippers, the baseball program, to reinstitute the pitch, hit and run program. It's kind of like a competitive thing, different age groups, but
Looked like fun.
yeah, I remember it.
Sorry, I aged out.
1976, I was part of that.
I think they could make it
Oh,
delicious for us, but there you go.
I knew it would be right there with me.
And you guys probably know Pat Malloy, but
Yeah.
So
I'll hit you run.
Okay.
in 1976, 77, when he was the Hudson, program director, I was, I think 10 years old and he was in charge of the program. So we brought him in to kind of help run the program. So it was pretty cool to see that.
That's great.
Yeah. Let's say, so our monitoring, so every 2 years we have to monitor the program. So they'll be all complete this year. This is my 4th year. So we did it 2 years ago. The monitoring is all being done this year as well.
So it was one resolution for, Sparta Hudson and for the MOUs? Okay, that's one. I thought it was two. Okay.
I need a motion on the Barista, correct? The
Yes,
Barista program?
yes.
Do I have a motion on the
So
Barista
moved.
program? Would you like the second?
Second.
Further discussion? Should we train them to be real estate agents too? So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I was thinking more about having.
Unless you have questions, I'm done until Bob went that way, so I'm not sure.
No, I look forward to seeing the Century State Space at the fair. It's neat to visit.
Yes,
I mean, it's a good thing.
And I know I only come kind of quarterly now to this, I think I did come after the last, your leadership banquet, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To receive our adulation, yes, that was good.
Well, yeah.
Get the public health. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, why don't we get the Department of Health
Because we got. another-
Director?
Messing the order all up today.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
How are you? Doing well. How are you? How are y'all? Good. Got a couple requests today. Authorization to modify the 2026 budget and adjust contracts with 3 engineering firms.
I'll move it. Second.
Further discussion?
Yeah,
Still nowhere with.
no applications. But we're pushing plans out faster than ever, so.
The code officers are
Right.
so grateful.
Yeah, I know, that is the one, but that is the one benefit, you know, we have a team rather than one person.
Yeah.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Yeah, sorry. Request authorization to fill a senior clerk due to resignation.
Move it.
Second.
Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And another personnel one to
Move it.
fill all positions due to
Second.
promotion.
Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And then, authorization to contract for 2026 staff development training.
Do I have a motion?
You talked to Jim about that?
I did, yeah. I got in trouble. I need to get quotes, but he didn't pull it, so I thought we could go through. I don't know.
I'll move it.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
What's that?
Thanks for getting that really good.
Oh, sure. Authorization to contract for rabies specimen preparation.
Moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion?
So we have to prepare the animals to go out to the lab.
Oh, the animals got
So decapitations, yeah. I'm not putting anything set up unless you really, really need me to.
Good to see Jeff Cox up there. He's a
Yeah,
chatty
he's a great guy, great
Long
guy.
time officer.
Sharp machete.
Yeah,
I thought he retired.
He
He
did,
did.
yeah, but he's gonna,
This is his gig, retirement gig?
he's got a couple things going, so, you know,
it's a good rate.
it is, you know?
All right, did I have a motion in the second, sir?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And then authorization to contract with AM Speech Services
Move it.
for preschool.
Second?
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And I have my report for July. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Look at those tick-borne diseases.
Yeah, yep. Report is booming.
Half of the year today.
Mhm.
I did tell this group that we contracted with somebody to spray our yard. I know I said it the last one, but it's made a huge difference. It's not that expensive. you have a really bad problem. It worked. They come every month, once a month for the season, I think, and they fog, you know, but it's been, we had a little dog that goes out and was covered in it before, and now we have none. So it's worked. Anyway,
I'm glad to hear that.
yeah.
We have chickens, but they cost more than they produce. But anyway,
Yeah. It's like road.
all right, any further questions for the director on her report? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Commissioner Gibson, why don't we come back up?
Hi, Bob. How are you? Good, how are you? Sorry, I had to step up. I feel like, just want to go back to Supervisor Adams' question. You know, these youth department budgets, very fixed, they're very static. So what we've tried to do is expand out to the county using my prevention money. That's why we're able to do the transportation to every summer camp. That's why I would like to see the summer camps coordinate and do more events together. I think that's what Dan's alluding to, because it is very hard to program out in areas that are not in the Greater Hudson area. And so the irony is, I think that's why there are so many nonprofits here. I think it's just easier to
To fill in the
do.
gap, right?
Yeah, I think the schools are, we leave it to the schools in the outer areas to do that. So, I would welcome any opportunity to start having all of the kids in the county sort of more collaborative. So,
Well, I didn't know until I read these websites today that Roberts Camp is non-town specific. You don't, they reach out regional. It's not just.
well, I think that's great.
Yeah, we have kids.
So, so that's.
New
what I would
Lebanon
focus
from
on
all
for
over.
next year.
Yeah, and I think that's a better idea.
A
And
regional.
we do give assistance, as we've talked about, not just transportation, but, you know, daycare. The daycare, subsidy can be used for kids from the level.
Well, right.
Okay. With that, so, few resolutions here, looks like, the first several are 0.1 related. So the first is to fill a caseworker position.
Just a second,
A second.
further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
The second is to fill a child support specialist position.
Do I have a second?
Yes.
Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
And then the next is to, hire one social welfare examiner.
Move it. Second.
Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
All right, and now, this has just been part of our overall plan as the agency sort of reshapes itself. And part of that's with retirement, but now, we're able to abolish one data entry machine operator position. So I'd like to do that. It just puts money back into the 0.1 and we're able
I'll move it. Second.
Further discussion, all in favor? Opposed, carried.
All right, we also would like to contract with Repeat Business System.
Second. Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
That is that. I'd like to further my discussion on, something that's bothering me quite a bit. And that is, we're losing workers specifically to the state. At some point, so I'm putting something together. And we're particularly vulnerable to the state given our proximity, right? But I have to tell you, and I'm looking to really write a strong rebuke to the governor's office itself, but I have not done that. My opinion is they take from the agency on the street that actually provides the service. They bring them to the headquarters in Albany where they don't. And then, as the chairman knows, part of that lure is, and we're gonna let you do a bunch of that from home. uh, it is getting harder for me to get services out onto the street.
Which is what we're tasked to do.
There's no point in any of this if that's not what we do.
Right.
The state has no reason to hire this many people. I'm sorry, I'm gonna be blunt. None at all. And I looked, they have an endless amount of openings. They can't hire enough. So we have to ask ourselves, and I think I'm talking to other commissioners, we have to ask ourselves as the community portion of the social services law, what is our point? If you're gonna take our workers, what is the point? And there is no way the people of New York State are providing this much money for social services so that we can have a bureaucratic headquarters and nobody to deliver services.
But wouldn't we ask the question a different way? Wouldn't we say, why are we paying for overhead instead of services? That's what you're saying.
I am saying, I'm saying your white papers aren't worth a darn. What's that?
I always said it's like the game of Jenga. They make themselves top heavy and then it all falls down.
True, but now I'm going further and saying there is no reason for that. There is no reason for it. So we're hiring, I guess we're an employment agency from the state level. Okay, and that would be all well and fine if we had the money to do it and we still had the workers here to do the work on the ground, which we have.
What makes those jobs more attractive to our workers?
We'll pay you a little more. And you get to stay home.
Okay, so it's the remote, it's.
And the chairman, we've talked about, just when you thought we were gonna get out of that, then they extend the home stuff that much more. And we can't compete with that. We can't compete on that field of competition. We can't, because I can't have a lot of remote work. We're limited in what we can do. Why am I competing with the state, who is my overseer? They're my overseer.
We have a similar issue with our sheriff's department
Yeah,
and the state police.
They train them, they take them.
why? Then
In their case, they're paying 30.
Oh, they're paying a lot more.
right. Now, at least I suppose the argument for them is, well, we're gonna turn around and give you law enforcement in your backyard. They don't, but but it's an excellent it's a good comp when it comes to, we train them, they take them.
Have you
Yeah,
ever
but they
looked
still
at
have to
the,
go through the state police academy, even if we train.
Yeah,
but they're talking about accepting lateral.
They are.
so, right, so again,
But
the
here's my,
county is where it all happens.
here's my question. What is like happening with Rensselaer County, Albany County?
Gutting,
Same thing?
gutting,
You guys all need to get together.
and we have.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I think the pressure needs to be brought to bear. And the reason I'm so upset is, remember, the whole purpose is the services, and they happen here. That's the whole purpose. Okay, you want to have some oversight, we can do that. You want to have small units of oversight, that's not what's happening. They're creating new agencies. They're creating new agencies after that. Here's the irony.
Impede your ability to do services.
Well, you want the greatest irony, and this is what my staff is so upset about. Most of them go to the training center. You mean you go to take our workers, you're gonna put them at the training center to train workers that I no longer have. I don't have workers for you to train. That's what's happening. And they come back not trained. I bring that up here because I want to form a little committee, and at some point, I think we have to talk as a county, saying, you know, what are you doing? And I don't know what else to do, because it's year in and year out that it's happening. And I'm right back to, I've in my child protective services unit, I've got about 4 seasoned people I'm trying to change formal. I've got on-call to staff. We're on call always. 4 o'clock rolls around, we are on call until 8 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't ever stop, and I'm okay with that. That's the mandate, and it's an important one. Why are you taking the people that are doing it? Because it's not easy to hire.
But it's not burnout. It's not that they're moving
No,
from a
no,
clinical space to
No.
a work, admin space.
no,
Okay.
no. It is specifically because there is, well, I'm sure there's a counter argument to this, so this is my argument. There's no end in sight to the hiring. I've gone on and looked. There's no end in sight to it. Training center, justice center. And what do these jobs do? They oversee workers at the county level. Well, I'm already doing that. And if you take them all, there's nobody left to oversee. It's a real problem. I bring that up because I know I know you care. It's your problem. It's our collective problem.
Well, I'm sure this committee would love to see the correspondence you develop and lend its
Well,
support to that.
I have made sure I didn't do that. I'm not sure how.
What about, I assume this is like, I mean, I only went last year, but the Association of Counties, like, it seems like an issue that they would be lobbying on something.
Oh, that would be good too. We're doing it at ours is NIPAW, Rhode Public Welfare Association. It's basically the counties that get together. But the ones who suffer are rural.
A while ago, we had talked about seeing the exit interviews. I don't think I've ever really seen them.
Okay, well,
As well as, I know human resources is also doing exit.
They are.
So,
and they are coordinated.
just so we know what some of the reasoning is.
Well, yesterday, I had them update my spreadsheet. I am gonna share it. It can be shared with it because it's got personal information.
No,
We can do it. It would be posted on a meeting like that.
Yeah.
But I now I went one step further and said, look, when you say left for the state, I want you to tell me which. And so they're gonna start doing that as well. That is the bulk. Some people retire, they reach their time. Some have better opportunities and I welcome that. I wouldn't have been saying this 5 years ago. Saying it as a result of 5 years on, and the board has tried it. I mean, the chairman, they're trying to help. We hire training positions. The person I hired in that training position left for the state last week.
For the training, look for the training
Yes.
center. To train,
Yes.
train the trainer that you hired that you no
Yes,
longer
who I
have.
don't have.
But, okay, but the remote learning is something that doesn't necessarily behoove your department, right? You need interaction.
But
We're a
people on the
social
street.
services
Yeah.
agency, so
Yeah.
humans do that.
You
Right.
need
Yeah.
face to face.
That's what happens. Humans do
Yeah.
that. Bureaucrats, they don't have to be there. Again, see, I'm gonna get.
Before we digress into general slander,
Right.
are there any more
Here.
questions for the commissioner? I have one question. I saw in your home list, the number of rooms jumped by 10.
Yeah, I did see that too.
Is that a specific reason? It seemed like the same number of families and
Is it because of Philmont Hall? Did we have to have some of the people?
It's about 7.
Oh, 7 or 8.
7. And it was temporary.
okay.
And they got me.
That'll go.
I think Mr. Fisher called, he told me they're down to like 2 or 3 people.
Yeah, oh, yeah, no, I think they've done a good job.
But I think that's.
That was the bump.
Probably saw that, yeah.
All right.
There
I
was a
should have
great,
inferred that myself.
no,
but
there was a
smarter
great meeting.
colleagues.
There was a great
On this
great
committee.
meeting
Yeah, I
that the
forgot it,
chairman
yeah.
put together. That sort of was an after action.
Yeah,
It was really
debriefing.
well, went really well. All right, well, thanks, and thanks for letting
Thank
me
you.
rant.
All right. Anytime. Thank you for informing us. Very nice. Carry the message.
If you
wherever
give us
we
something,
can.
I'd be happy to-
Director Benvenuto.
I was looking for your father when he said. Oh, I know.
He's mowing his lawn now or
Yeah.
something, enjoying his life.
That's the different project.
Oh, Nina, how are you?
Hello, how are you? The Ben Venuto is a funny story. Everybody always thinks that the first name is Ben, the last name is Venuto. That just happened
Oh, that's funny.
Saturday. We went out to lunch or something. Anyway,
Where-
hello. I know.
Where's Ben?
I think my grandmother thought my mom was dating a guy named Ben and a guy named Glenn.
No.
Same guy.
Did you-
Oh, sorry.
So I only have one request for you, and it's a pretty exciting one. It's essentially free money, which we always like. Christina Bonsack, who is a rock star over at, Capital Region.
Yeah.
Clean
Clean heating and cooling,
All the,
Regional planning and.
all the letters and words, clean stuff.
heating and
in
cooling.
the Capital Region. Reached out, she's been a great resource, and asked if we would be interested in receiving essentially a grant, in, response to just sending people towards their, senior programs, for energy affordability. I included a couple of the flyers, to give you an idea of what those programs are that we would be screening people for. We're already screening for some of those. A couple of them we didn't know about. Did you get new glasses? I like those.
Last year.
Oh, never mind. So we're already kind of doing this. This just makes it a little more official that we will, while we're doing our overall, comprehensive assessments, we're actually going to be making official referrals to these programs. And for that, we'll get $3,500.
I'll do
Which I think
this.
is cool.
I'll second.
Cool.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
So how does this, is this linked or coordinated with the, what does Tina Sharp do, the weatherization program that she does? Because I noticed there was a weatherization component here.
I think it's separate.
Okay,
And the goal for this money, we were kind of planning to funnel it into our home repair fund, specifically for things like that. So it does, I mean, it's kind of in the same vein, but a separate program, I think. I don't believe it is the same weatherization program. Christina could answer more. And she's gonna come in October to do a training for all of this.
call to Tina just so that she's not surprised and knows that there's additional funding available from your department should she need it, because she never has enough money.
My question on that, Brenda might be able to help on that, is, and you steer people towards community solar. Our climate smart committee had been recommending certain climate or certain community solar firms. Is that not still active, or,
So
you
last
know, we
time-
were trying to steer people to some companies that the climate smart had vetted, and, you know, we had gone along with, and you gotta be careful with some of those, as you know. So that's why I just didn't know if you had coordinated this with Don Meltz and the climate smart committee as well, too.
I have not, but I can get in touch.
Christine is a member, so we could put that on the next agenda and
Okay.
ask her, but I think the last two times that subject has come up, the companies that we had vetted had no more capacity, so we
Okay.
interested to see if they have capacity there.
All right. I just didn't want dual efforts going on there, so.
That's a good idea.
I will make sure we talk to Don Meltz.
Dueling climate, yeah, Don Meltz is our county climate smart coordinator, planning, works with Patrice there, but
And Christina's on the committee. She's
Okay,
an
so
ad hoc
she'll be
member of the
able to-
committee, but I'll make sure that it comes up.
All right, thank you. I'll let her know.
just bother your brain a little bit more about that.
I missed, have we moved past that?
Cross pollination.
Okay, thank you. And then I have the actual MOU for you. I don't have much in my report because we're like, you know, elbow deep in senior day planning, but one thing I wanted to bring up was the farmer's market coupons, which has been an experience. I feel like 10 seconds ago, I was sitting here at this meeting talking about the coupons are here, and now I'm telling you the coupons are gone. This is not ideal, obviously. We, across statewide, everyone was given a diminished amount this year, and from my understanding, it's linked to that, I believe ARPA funding was somehow at the state level tied in. I'm not entirely sure.
Stacy, get ARPA money, did they?
I thought it was SNAP.
I think it's when it ran out. There's some component of SNAP that goes to the program, but I think at the state level, the state, maybe I have that actual title wrong, but I believe the state was contributing to make up for, SNAP cuts at some point. And whatever they were using has now run out.
Sunset.
Yeah, so across the state, there were significant cuts. We only received 600 booklets this year. Last year, we gave out 1,500. So, you know, we kind of threw together, we got our 600. We moved forward. Okay, we're gonna, until they tell us we don't have them, we're gonna move forward as though we do. We asked for a second round like we usually do, and we were denied. The state has gone around to ask other counties if they haven't used any to kind of send them back, and they will redistribute out to counties. I haven't heard anything about that yet, so we're keeping track. And if anybody comes to you, please send them our way as well. We're keeping a list of anybody who reaches out, who, you know, wanted to get a booklet but couldn't get one, taking names, numbers, and towns just to get an idea of who's been impacted. And then if the state finds some other response to this, we'll be able to connect with people. I've also met with several of the other directors. We had a caucus meeting, I think it was last week. We were talking about what some of their ideas are. I don't know if we'll be able to get it into this year because this feels like it's kind of a process to put something like this together, but I'm hoping next year we can kind of make a plan to partner with some of the local farms to either create produce boxes to be able to hand out as a, you know, either in tandem with, or if we are not able to have as many booklets, or some of the other counties have talked about maybe setting up some type of, like, I guess vouchering system is the only way I could really think to describe it, where the county, the AAA is acting as the booklets and they're paying the farmers markets directly for whatever would be available through those booklets once the booklets run out. And that's the part where I think that takes a while to plan and obviously needs approval and things like that. So I don't think we'll come up with a solution like that before the end of, I mean, I don't know when vegetables end, I guess never. Right, okay, that makes sense. But, you know, I don't think we'll be able to get something done, unfortunately, this season, but I'm gonna have that in the back of my head for next year. And we talked with the team about, you know, we're gonna prioritize where those distribution sites are next year. And we'll have a second round kind of ready to go, but not advertised yet until we know that we can get those. Also, as this process was rolling out, we put together, we took that list of food resources that kind of ad hoc committee had thrown together last year when the government shut down, and added anything we could think of to kind of just a food resource list in the county. You know, we've got our senior centers, we've got Long Table Harvest, and all of the pantries we could think of. We've got the veterans in here, a bunch of those community fridges, literally anything I could think of. So if you're looking this over and find there's something that could be helpful added to this, please let me know. We're gonna keep, you know, we try to keep this up to date anyway, but I noticed there was a substantial amount of stuff that wasn't around a couple months ago. So we've sent this out to everybody who was scheduled to have a distribution center. A couple of the libraries we were supposed to be at, we sent it out to them and asked them to share with their folks. We sent this out to people as they called, requesting booklets. We're gonna have this with us at Senior Day. So, I mean, definitely not an ideal situation, but we're gonna plan ahead.
I'm trying to learn from it. That's good.
Yeah.
We had a good presentation from the Regional Food Day at the Board of Supervisors meeting last week. And we maybe you appreciate having a copy of that presentation.
Thank you. And then
Need more food, is what they said.
yeah. And then just a reminder, we have a public hearing coming up for the annual update for the state, which is mostly the financial piece to that 4-year-long strategic plan that we submit each year. So that's coming up Tuesday.
Last budget discussion, I believe.
We're gonna be a little late
Yeah.
because we have a budget until the
Yeah, that's okay. We've only had about 4 or 5 people RSVP, so I'm not expecting a large crowd. I mean, I don't think it's super exciting, but we're gonna be working on the abstract a little bit tomorrow and Thursday, and then we'll have it up on the website, Facebook. We can share it out to anybody who wants it. You know, it says on here, we'll be accepting questions too until the following week. So people can give us a call once they see it, if there are questions and things like that. And other than that, I think that's really all I got for you. Senior Day's coming up. We've got the band.
Band, oh, everyone will be dancing.
Yeah, I know, we're excited. I don't think anyone will be excited to see me dance, but yeah. Oh, and then I think I've mentioned, we're partnering with Salvation Army this year. That's our community partner. We just got the list of their preferred items today, so we'll be blasting that out to folks as well. Because, you know, I mean, obviously a food drive, but we want to make sure it's stuff that they need, not just anything. And I feel like there was, oh, we're also going to introduce an additional bonus raffle. If you bring 3 or more items to that drive, you'll get a bonus raffle ticket for what the price says. So hopefully, because I mean, Salvation Army helped us a lot this year, so trying to, you know, give back, spread the love. So hopefully we'll see you all there. Okay.
We have to get a hold of Supervisor Scalera about mock bus rides.
No,
Lee County Transportation.
I should follow up on that.
Is it possible to RSVP for the hearing? I'll just be late after the
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
budget.
I'll be there. Yeah.
I didn't realize you had to RSVP.
That's okay. Well, it was mostly for a
It's at the
lunch.
Philmont. It's at the Philmont. Yeah.
Which one?
It's gonna be your decider. What's the one?
I think it's
Where do I go that day?
pretty basic
What do
lunch.
you want?
And
It's if they're cooked to order.
On your name, like that.
Twice.
And High Fall, right next door.
Third time you picked it up.
My family used to do that.
My son built the bog bridge.
Yeah.
For what?
The bog bridges in the conservation area.
Well,
Any questions for Director Lynn? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are we shopping?
Is there anything from the public?
Public hearing. It is August 18th.
That's the day.
That's today.
This is why I put out flyers. I can't trust them.
It is. I'll give you this.
August 23rd, 11 a.m.
August
Okay.
20th.
next Tuesday.
Yep, Tuesday, 11 a.m. All right, I'm gonna ask for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, good night, everybody.
Please. Signed council is first. Is Kyle here? Authorization to enter into a contractual agreement with Repeat Business Systems.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Public defender.
Good evening.
How are you?
Well, thank you.
Have a generalized resolution request for the chairman of the board. Sign a maintenance agreement between Hudson Valley Office Equipment, Columbia County Public Defender's Office for a period of 8/17/26 to 8/17/27 for a copy machine that's located in the Hudson City Court.
Second.
And,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
and, this conference objective form for, I don't know if this is an official resolution, but I'm requesting, three of my assistants.
Whereabouts
Is that in New York City?
I'm sorry,
Is that in New York City?
in New York State? Yeah, it's in all.
You don't
Yeah,
have to
you don't
go
have to
through
bring
tomorrow.
I don't need to go. through.
Right.
Okay, very
I was
good.
like, I don't have it, so,
Okay,
okay.
thanks so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Emergency management.
Sit down. Thank you very much, Chairman. So I have 5 resolution requests having to do with grants, also, our monthly report, and I'll give you a brief, report and update on the, record-breaking rain and flood that we had back on the 29th. The first resolution request is authorization to accept.
Move it.
Second.
Can I ask, some questions on this?
Yeah.
one before we go?
these might be more questions for the sheriff, but before I vote on this one, I had some questions about the purpose of this grant, the enhancements for the flock system.
Yes.
I have recently been getting a lot of calls from residents in New Lebanon about a flock camera on Route 20, which I was actually unaware that we had in the county. I wanted some more information with flock, which I did get from Jackie. I don't remember public safety, and maybe I just forgot.
I didn't know that we were gonna get into that
Authorizing.
right now, because I figured when the sheriff came up, we could discuss all of that.
Can we wait to vote? Like, I'm right now a no on voting for money for a flock
Well, why
system
don't you
until I
let him
have
explain what it
more
is first?
information. on the flock system.
Because Flock does other things other than what you're talking about, so this
So
is.
this request is for, funding through a grant that, with software enhancements for the Flock system is only part of it. The rest of it is first responders and respirator, fit test machine for cybersecurity, and for biometric edge endpoint hardening and IMM modernization project, which has to do with county network and all that. The Flock part of it, my understanding is for, license plate readers, but I'm not sure. Bring that up. You know, like-
So to answer your question, did it go through this, Flock cameras in general?
Yeah.
In 2023, this committee, it was presented to this committee about Flock cameras. We, as a committee, went into executive session to discuss Flock cameras.
Okay.
We came out of executive session and we voted to table Flock cameras. So from 2023 till today, we were unaware of all of them. It never went through
That I-
finance and it never went through the full board.
Okay, that I remember. And so I now
Yes.
seeing a signed contract with flock, I just don't remember. the
Correct.
board ever
The signed
authorizing.
contract, which again, the sheriff will talk about, is signed by the sheriff's department. It did not go through public safety. It did not go through finance, and it did not go through the full board.
Okay.
I will say that, I know the state DOT has cameras also.
Yeah.
And, license plate readers, I think when I was sheriff, we got the first one through. But this is for, software enhancements for the license plate, which that's what they are. Block is a company name, and they have a lot.
But there's gotta be other license plate readers that don't have such a patterned, history and,
The technical.
you know what I'm saying?
I'm
Like,
gonna ask the sheriff.
license plate readers, fine, but like going through flock for them, anyway, we can get to that when we get to
Yeah.
the sheriff.
So that's the first one.
So do we have a motion?
I think you had a motion.
And a second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Number two.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think it still carries. So carried. Okay, go ahead.
Number two is a request for authorization to accept the emergency management performance grant totaling $24,246.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried.
Number three is a request of authorization to accept the hazardous materials emergency preparedness grant totaling $16,000.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Number four is a request for authorization to accept the 2024 hazmat grant totaling $16,276.
Move it.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
And the fifth and final is a request authorization to accept a 2023 hazmat grant totaling $44,300 in disbursement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Yes, sure.
Sheriff Logan. Okay, I know there's a lot of people in here, but I do not want anybody on this side, so you're gonna have to all move down, please. I don't.
The maximum
We'll have people
capacity is
behind us.
35 as well.
How much?
35.
Let's look at who's
I can't see right now.
We're at max capacity right now, so if anybody else wants to come in, I'm gonna have to put out. Okay, thank you. Okay, sorry, go ahead. Where were we?
You're at the
Vote on
report.
last one?
Yeah.
We did.
So, I'm happy to answer any, questions on our monthly report. If not, as you know, we had a, severe weather event that happened on July 29th. We had record-breaking rain. If you haven't heard, and this comes right from the National Weather Service in New York State, there was a record broken for the first and second positions for 24-hour rain period within 24 hours. Skodak had 11.5 to 12 inches of rain. They have the number one spot now, and Kinderhook has the number two spot of 11.1 to 11.5 inches of rain within a 24-hour period. They were previously held by location in Long Island, so now we hold them here. There was a lot of activity. The worst hit sections were along the Hudson River, Stuyvesant, Greenport, Germantown, a bit of Hudson, and that wasn't it though. Philmont and some other places had heavy rain. There was hundreds and hundreds of basement pump outs and other stuff. And the highway superintendents, county highway, state DOT, you really can't thank those people enough for how they handled it. They really did quite a job to get the roads back open. At the height, we had 32 roads closed due to flooding. And, we're down to 2 or 3 that have major damage. We did go through the process of getting initial estimates for public infrastructure and property, disaster recovery funding, and we submitted our amount in the form of 2.8 million, which is low. I know there's some that haven't gotten back to us yet on the initial estimates. Our threshold is 299,000, so we're way over that. But now it would be up to New York State to meet their threshold of $39 million before the governor can ask for a presidential declaration of disaster. And I'm hearing that Columbia County is probably the worst hit. And so not hearing anything from New York State right now, which isn't good. We also went through the process of having the federal government come down and do site inspections for private residences and businesses that self-reported in New York State. So they would be eligible if it becomes eligible for federal funding. It looks like if it is available, it may only be available through small business loans. However, if that's the case, it's better than paying with your credit card or taking out a personal loan. They're very low interest rates, but we haven't heard back from them yet. So I don't know if that's going to be available. They visited like 35 sites when they were down here for the 2 days. And I think that's it. Anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
Philmont Dam. We know there's an issue there. We're going with the reservoir. Steve, can you give us an update of what damage was done and what they're looking at?
So the Philmont Dam is one of only 2 Class C high hazard dams in Avenant County. We were notified by New York State that DEC, who oversees these, they don't manage them. The municipality, the dam owner manages them, owns them, and manages them. The DEC recommended that the village of Philmont activate their emergency action plan for the dam, not to include an evacuation. And what happened was, it's on Summit Street, if you don't know where it is. They found significant dam from, I'm sure that it's from the rains that they had.
A lot of flooding.
And at this time, they're doing a controlled lowering the Summit Street Lake, then the village is gonna have to make a decision as to do major overhaul of the dam or have it taken down. That lake, as far as I know, doesn't provide water. It's not the water source for the village. Originally, there used to be just a channel that went through there pretty back in the day. There's another dam miles back behind it on Harder Road that actually used to be there. That has a really good earthen dam that's also overseen. You know, all the dams, Class A, B, and C are inspected regularly by DOC, DEC, and that one further up is a Class B dam, which means it's less hazardous, kind of a full failure. So the other Class C dam is the Churchtown Dam, which is the water source for the city of Hudson. And the commissioner was in constant contact with us. He went out and inspected it. It was fine. It held. This was a rain that we were on the verge of a drought before it happened, and which helped. And I have to say that the municipalities, your highway superintendents, county and state highway people over the past several years have, if they have a culvert to replace, they've replaced it better, bigger if need be. They've mitigated, you know, using your own funding and that. They've made it better, and in my opinion, that helped tremendously. Just what everybody has done over the last 10 years. This could have been a lot worse. It's bad, but it could have been a lot worse. No injuries during it. We had some of the flood equipment that we were issued by New York State last year was used. Sandbag filler, and 1,000 sandbags went to Germantown. We had trash pumps. One of them went to Hudson Correctional Facility, their power building, where they have all their electricity going to it. It's totally flooded out. We got some smaller ones with Glacier, the messaging boards, the light towers, for sure they were all used. So anyway, so DEC is having weekly meetings with Village of Philmont. Village of Philmont did do notifications. That's all the DEC recommended that this is happening. They're doing a controlled lowering of the lake, and they're bringing it down.
Village and they make a decision.
They're bringing it down, so there's only 6 inches
I'll get in
left.
touch with the village.
And then they have to make decisions. Could be a major
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Fire coordinator? Who?
Tony.
I just wanted to, so for that approval of that grant, that was funding with blocks of software, and there just be like a small modification that basically says you're accepting the grant, but
It's already voted on.
yeah, but I didn't let anyone from ask questions about that.
We don't normally do that during the meeting. If you had a question, you could have raised your hand during the meeting and asked that question. She would have gladly, because we let supervisors ask questions, but not the public. The public can ask questions at the end.
After you're done voting.
After you're all done voting.
Excuse me. You don't run the meeting, I do, and if you're gonna,
I do pay you.
that, you don't pay me. But if you speak during the meeting, it's gonna be cordial, or you will be asked to leave. You will have every opportunity at the end of the meeting to ask questions.
Thanks for your vote.
So, yeah, it still has, Sonia, it still has to go through finance and full board, so that could be modified or changed. This is just the first step of that. So when we get to finance committee, if you're on it, you can ask that same question. You can ask it beforehand, and when it goes to full board, you can also ask for modifications at that point, and then we can obviously have a discussion. Okay? Fire?
Hello, good afternoon.
All right, request is to accept the resignation of county fire instructor and deputy fire coordinator Wayne Terry.
Move it. Second? All in favor? Opposed? So carried.
This one is to the authorization to amend the 2026 County County adopt.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. So carried. Thank you.
Chairman Magoni, I'd just like to recognize Wayne Gearing. He's a bedrock member of the East Chatham Fire Company. He's always been a phenomenal resource. Thank you.
Sure.
The first is to fill a vacant budgeted position of senior investigator. Senior investigator Travis Van Alstyne retired. And we would like to fill this position.
Okay. All in favor? Opposed? So carried.
The second is authorization to create and fill a communications officer position. Currently, we have one communications officer on the overnight shift. And if that person needs to get up to use the restroom or something happens, there is no one to man the radios. 911 used to be in the same room because they are no longer in the same room. We really need a second person there.
Jackie, I have a question. It says that it is budgeted, but we haven't adopted the 27 budget yet. So are you saying it's budgeted for 26?
We want to fill it as soon as possible this year.
Yeah, so we'll do an emergency fill.
No, I understand, but it's checked yes for the position being budgeted, but it's creating a new position. So where is it budgeted?
So how we came up with it is being budgeted right now. It's being filled with overtime every night.
So you're just moving money within
It
your
would
budget
cost less to
overtime.
fill the position than to keep it open and fill it with overtime.
Okay, thank you.
I think we had a motion and a second.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
All right, and the third is to enter into an agreement with Department of Corrections to keep food, for the food products. So you're doing nothing, but this is for the food service.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
And the next is to declare surplus property of some old vehicles that we have, 2014, 2017 vehicles,
Second.
sell them at auction.
We have a first and a second?
Yeah.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Passes.
And the next is to amend the budget, to accept insurance recovery funds from Green vehicles.
Second. All in favor? Opposed? So carried.
Next is to accept the Burn Jag grant in the amount of $15,000. And
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
and then we were awarded a $125,000 grant for an X-ray scanner to place in our correctional
Move it.
facility.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
We finally got that.
We finally got it, yeah. And what that helps us out with is, so we had to find what's to create some items and we had to take them to the hospital and I think we sat there for 6 or 7 hours to get where we can put them through the scan. And our year-to-date is 71,645 for the Ada County inmate report. Last year was 85,995. Do you want to do?
You might as
wait
well,
till the end?
yeah. Why don't we wait to the end? This way you can talk about that and then we can have
And then I'll hold
questions.
everybody else
We'll
up.
hold everybody.
Okay. we'll do it.
You're talking about the clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll wait. and then I'll
Thank
hold
you.
that.
Probation.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am requesting authorization to renew our 3-year agreement with Thomson Reuters for the Clear software. This helps us find absconders and, more importantly, victims who we collect money for that aren't at their address anymore, and we could find and be able to give them the restitution that's owed to them. And also people that Oh, that's restitution.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. EMS.
Good evening.
Good evening.
First of all, I just want to thank everybody that attended the EMS workshop prior to the board meeting. Hopefully that answered some questions and demonstrated the financial need of these agencies as well as the importance of keeping nonprofit, community-based ambulance in Columbia County. So hopefully they answer today. So with that, I have two resolutions tonight. First resolution is to allow Columbia County to collect tax from local municipalities to provide EMS funding. This would replace the individual town contracts. And again, there's no monetary amount attached to this. This resolution basically is just to set the mechanism in place to be able to do that. This has to go through the budget process, just like everything else.
TJ, can I just ask for
Yeah.
clarification? So this is kind of adopting the next step of the presentation. At the presentation, you said that Chatham Rescue and other organizations had given some amendments back, so you're now all in agreement on a
I just
proposed
received
contract?
the new contract back today,
Okay,
and we'll be distributing it tomorrow with all the amended suggestions that everybody has put in.
and then the change would take effect January of 27, but it needs to go through the budget process that happens this fall
Yes, ma'am.
to get it in place. Okay, thank you.
Which is not much different than the chargeback process.
Yeah.
That went through the budget.
Like I said, it's very similar to how we've already been doing it. You're paying the county, it's just more fair.
The
I'll move.
signees are different. The towns are no longer signees at this time.
Correct. It's all done through the county.
I'll move it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Second resolution is to enter an agreement with Albany Med Health System. Supervisor from New Lebanon will appreciate this. We have a doc that resides in New Lebanon, that's going to be employed by Albany Med. And the resolution is asking to enter an agreement with Albany Med, to be able to use this doc, both as a first response if necessary, but more importantly, part of our education for our paramedic program. There's no charge to the county, it's through Albany Med System. And obviously has to be reviewed by the county.
That's not. Thank you.
That's it. Any questions?
We have motion
Okay,
second.
I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Anything else?
Thank you for all your hard work on
Thank
EMS.
Okay, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Can I just stand over there?
Yeah, of course.
I just
Absolutely.
want to offer some comments before we get started, because I know there are quite a few people here who are, not typically here for our public safety meeting, and I know it is with regard to flock cameras. So, want to give you a bit of factual information in what we do, with our flock cameras. There's no video. The flock cameras we have are basic. They take still images of license. The information is automatically deleted after 30 days. And just for reference, other businesses that you may or may not be aware of who take still images of your license plates are Walmart, Lowe's, Hoffman Car Wash, Target, the New York State Bridge Authority, New York State Thruway Authority. That's how you get those little bills in the mail. So license plate readers have been around in this county for 20 years. And the way we use them has not changed. They are an investigative tool. The cameras we have are placed strategically at exit points. So I'll give you a for instance. If somebody decides they want to rob KeyBank and we can't determine a direction of travel, if we have a description of the car, we then have to have someone first who is registered to log into the system. You have to have a case number, and you have to put in a reason why you are looking for that particular vehicle. We do self-audits. We have 2 administrators who routinely audit our system. We've had no abuse because we have 2 administrators who routinely audit our system. We don't have the time, the personnel, or the resources to spy on anything. We don't. I have 11 openings. If you know anybody who wants a job, have them come pick up a job application. We literally do not have the time to spy on people as is suggested. Now, nationwide, might there have been someone who abused the system? I'm sure there has been, just like there have been priests who abuse children. There have been doctors who would be, it's called the human condition. We hire humans. And as long as we audit, and when we have people who do things that they're not supposed to, we address it. We address it. So, questions?
So, hang on one second. If you can ask questions, just please, when you do stand up and state your name, so we have it on the record.
You went to supervisors first.
Are there supervisors that have questions first? But I'll get to you first after that.
Hey, Jackie.
Hi.
So I understand that the flock system came in place before you were in the position of sheriff.
Right.
But I do want to understand, because, you know, we just passed resolutions for other contracts to be signed. We as a board said no to this, and your predecessor somehow entered into a contract. That doesn't seem legal to me. Is the contract legally binding if the legislative body did not approve it? Because it came to us and we had a discussion and we said no. So I'd like to know, I mean, that's important to me. How did we get here? Because when it came to us as a legislative body, we did not give the authorization for this.
To the best of my knowledge, it was purchased with a law enforcement technology grant.
I don't know that that matters.
Doesn't.
So in the town, I know more about the town than the county, but in the town, regardless of where the money's coming from, the contract is with the county. And your predecessor was not authorized to sign it. So I'd like the
What I
county
remember
attorney
in
to
the
look into
conversation
it.
about slot cameras previously were, there were private citizens who were willing to pay for the installation of those cameras. But they want, we'll give you an opportunity. They wanted to remain anonymous. And I kept that information anonymous. And because I wouldn't disclose who they were, it was tabled. Now, the reason, and I'll give you a reason why I wanted to keep them anonymous. One of the cameras was taken down because the homeowners received death threats. Death threats.
So in my research, and I am not a lawyer, so I would like the county attorney to look into it. The governing body can pass a ban on flock cameras. It would not prevent a private citizen from contracting with flock and installing it on private property, but it would prevent a county department, aka the county sheriff's office, like in the case in New Lebanon, where it was installed by the sheriff's office. So
Do you know it's a sheriff's office camera?
I have confirmed with the property owner that they had to sign authorization for it to be on their property, but it was the sheriff's office that installed it.
Block cameras installed at and all of the property owners, every camera we have is on private property. And all of those property owners signed an agreement, and the last paragraph of that agreement states that by giving Flock 30 days notice, they will come and take it down.
I guess my concern is the contract that I have is between the county sheriff, the Columbia County Sheriff's Office, and Flock. So that contract, I do not believe the sheriff at the time had authority to enter into that contract,
That
because,
contract was purchased.
well, it's a contract with Flock, so it's Flock and the Columbia County Sheriff's Office. Again, I'm not an attorney. I would like the county attorney to opine on this. Your predecessor came to us with the request. We said no, and there's a signed contract. That concerns me. And I would like to look into the legality of that contract.
Sure.
But as that role.
I don't know, just talking.
No, I saw that. Thank you.
Okay,
And do
any
you
other
know-
super? You got
I'm sorry,
more
one more
questions?
question. Do you know how many throughout the county between ones that the sheriff has been involved in and private? Okay, 10. Thank you. That includes the city of Hudson.
No, City of Hudson has not.
So 10 outside of the city of Hudson.
Thank you for explaining a little bit of the procedures that you go through. Is there, like an actual defined document or something that is transparent, just so that everyone understands what your procedures are with Flock and how you're using that information? I think that's a big concern for a lot of people. And that would just be helpful.
Okay, we have a departmental policy that is foilable, with regard to cameras. And, you know, we have license plate readers in all of our vehicles.
Why do we need more?
What? Ma'am,
Yeah.
you're gonna have an opportunity, but this is
I
not a
might
back and forth, excuse
I
me?
just might forget.
Well, if you forget, then you're gonna be asked to leave.
Okay, well, then after you leave.
I'm not there yet,
Okay.
but if you continue, you will be asked to leave. Okay, well, that's fine.
I'm sorry, do you have a problem?
No, that's perfect.
Okay.
Thanks.
I think sign it first.
I just wanted to ask, you were talking about like, even if you didn't have any installed using the sheriff office, that individuals have the right to install them.
Oh, yeah.
But does that mean that individuals have the right, that their data is going to the sheriff's office?
They can give us access. So how many people have Ring cameras? I have a Ring camera. Anybody have a Ring camera?
What?
Ring doorbell cameras. We can access those. We can access.
Sure.
And truthfully, we
That's gonna be
solve,
more
we
important.
solve, as law enforcement, we can access Ring cameras. We have solved more crimes with Ring cameras than we have Flock. I know there's a lot of angst behind Flock cameras, but it literally is taking a still picture of a license plate, just like Hoffman car wash. There is nothing nefarious happening with that. We don't say, oh, that person looks suspicious. I think I'm gonna see where they're going. There's just not the time. There's no reason. You have to log in. You have to, just like body camera footage. Every time someone looks at a piece of the body camera footage, there was a timestamp saying who looked at it, how long they looked at it. It's the same way with the cameras.
But just to follow up on that, yeah, I understand the Flock cameras you're using, it's in the sheriff's department, just taking stills. We have a resident right on Warren with in the front and the back. I'm not sure. I assume they're filming. In fact, I know they're filming all the time. And they see well past where a license plate on the street could be. I have anecdotes, people who ran anonymous, that it can see details all the way through the store across the street. I'm pretty sure if I'm outside on the bench listening to my conversation, that to me shouldn't be going to the sheriff's office. That is like
Well,
a
why
private
is going to the
individual.
city of Hudson Police?
That was gonna be my question.
Well, it's asked about whether it goes to the sheriff. Hudson is its own entity, right? But I just wanted to know if it's also going to the sheriff.
So Hudson is its own entity, and
no
I will
police
tell
department.
you that, and I'm sure a number of you may have seen the First Amendment auditors that circulate. All right, and they've come to our agency, they've come to this building, they've come to several places. There's no expectation of privacy in a public place. Is it annoying? Absolutely. You know, if you want to sit next to your friends and have a conversation, it absolutely is. But it's been tested and tried in several courts over a couple decades now, and found that there is no expectation of privacy in public places, in public settings.
Any other supervisors that have questions?
These cameras have the capacity for audio capture and video capture?
No.
It's just disabled?
It's-
No,
it's-
not at all.
It's literally a
Just a
picture of a
camera.
license plate.
Any other supervisor, right?
So I just wanted to provide some. In our little town, we have 6 of these cameras. I've been able to access 2 of them. And they belong to New York State Department of Transportation. The other 4 we haven't tracked down yet, but just, they all look the same. If you're standing at the bottom of the pole, they look the same. So there are, I think, part of the sensitivity here is there's now a proliferation of these cameras. People are starting to notice them because they're popping up in many more places, and they want to go through this option.
Yeah.
But New York State gives us the same notification that the sheriff has given us, which is these are license plate readers, and theirs are only doing traffic counts.
Yeah.
So they're not interested in any other information, and they told us they weren't sharing their data either. So if you're not sharing data and they're not sharing data, that's at least two sources that are not sharing.
Any other supervisors?
And they also did point out that they had limited capacity. They couldn't do any of the facial recognition or biometrics or any of that. It's just for license.
Supervisors? Okay. I know I said we would go first.
First of all.
Can you just tell us your name? ma'am?
Sure, my name is Keely Johnson.
Keely Johnson?
Yep. I reside in the town of Chatham. I do have D-Block, the app, so I do know where all the block cameras are, and I flip them all off. So you actually think, with the new enhancements that we're doing. We can't see you flipping them off, unless you're standing in front of your license. But I don't know that. I don't see.
But I'm
You
telling you.
can tell me that, they can tell me that, anybody can tell me about this stupid thinking company, Block. And I don't know, they seem privately owned, and where's these data things? They're holding data, why do we need big data things to hold all this information? Yeah, all these other cameras, we do not need other extra cameras. I can't believe, like, the government these days, I'm telling me what is and what isn't without me seeing it. Okay. Can we get a hearing where people can actually come in and actually talk So, about this? based on what you just said, what I think I'm hearing, it doesn't matter what I say to you, you're not gonna believe it. Well, they can be So- enhanced, Flock has other cameras coming out and other drones, I mean, how's So if that I, gonna go? okay, so if I tell you If you tell that me- all we have are cameras that take pictures of license Mm-hmm. plates, you get to choose whether or not you believe me. I'm not I gonna don't have get a to choose whether or hearing not, if because you're I not have able them. to go over. I can't turn them off right before I get to them. Did you ask Walmart to turn it off? They track my GPS. Did you ask the car wash to turn it off? I don't know, but is it stored in a database in a third party? It automatically deletes everything. I can't believe that. Okay, then we're done. Okay, anybody else? Yes.
Anybody else? Ma'am, your name, please?
My name is Jolene Peroni. I'm here representing the.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Could you say it again?
Jolene Peroni.
Jolene
And I'm
Peroni?
here representing the Columbia County Pomona Grange number 35. We unfortunately only came with 7 copies of this, because I didn't know how many years.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear where you're from.
Grange. I'm from East Chatham,
No, who you represent?
Columbia County Pomona Grange.
Okay, I'm sorry. Now I understand.
National Order of the Patrons of Husbandry, just passed out, I'm gonna apologize. Table's not particularly smart yet. And I would just like to state for the record that I, fully believe everything that our sheriff is telling us right now. And I know that Columbia County actually has a pretty good history of doing due diligence compared to a lot of other localities. The sensitivity on our part where we would oppose any further use of these or any other type of device like Axon or somebody has similar products is that it's the proliferation and the possible future increase of the technology. So I agree, it's just reading license plates, it's on par with current technologies. But 10 years from now, when you get the grant to update the software, get the grant to update the cameras, blah, 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 you'll say, well, we've had them for 15 years now, so we didn't vote for that. So by voting for the little bit now, you're in a sense voting for 100 times it in the future. And that's what people are objecting to. Like, I understand the throughway takes my license plate. I don't have to drive the throughway if I don't want to. And I know what you're saying about you have no expectation of privacy, but there have been court cases. I apologize. I heard about this last minute. I don't know the name of it, but I know it exists. You can look it up, folks, that technological means do not supersede the Fourth Amendment. So if the technology goes beyond what a reasonable person, like one of these deputies can do walking down the street, that now becomes a search. This is going back to, putting trackers on cars and things. Just because the technology is there to do beyond what a human being can do,
Now you're searching people, and that's a completely different thing. I have cameras at my house. And I'd be perfectly willing to cooperate with a law enforcement thing. They come to my house in warrant and they say, Jolene, you need to look at your cameras. Great, absolutely. You know, but my cameras are not subject to the FBI, to the sheriff's department. People aren't compiling it and putting it in a database somewhere. They're using AI to decide that some of this room's behavior is suspicious. Right now, but it could be happening if we get on this bandwagon and on this conveyor belt towards, hey, you know, we're just gonna, like, a 1984 wasn't an instruction book. But that's where we're headed. Where you're watched and there's somebody on the other end that's making judgments about you in real time. And it's not that, I don't think anybody here wants that. But we need to not be naive and say, we could be having this conversation 15, 20 years and you go, well, we vote for it, they've been around for so long, and Walmart's been, it's not gonna fly then. So I think we should get going past where we already are. And, you know, and I've heard some things, well, there's already cameras here, there's already cameras there. Then what do we need more cameras for? We already have cameras seeing almost everything. If you get a warrant and you go to that place and you get the information. And that's constitutionally protected. You know, the few that the county has right now doesn't rise too much above that. Okay, fine, but like, I think people wanna, like, what's it, Campbell's nose under the tent, you know. We don't-
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you.
recognizing where we are.
Anybody
and
else?
that we're not, there. Thank you. We have 642 square miles in this county.
Your name, sir?
Yeah, Boyd Alden Kenny, your voice for reason. I won't go through the full introduction too much.
We know you know it.
It's Kathy, lovely. Anyway. So she said that as far as the sheriff's department is concerned, you don't have block cameras, you've got Dix and Hutz in the city of Hudson.
No, City of Hudson is
So
a
it's not
separate
the
entity.
sheriff, but it could be the police department. So
I don't.
you don't know.
I
I'm
don't
just
want to
saying,
know.
I'm speculation. But what I do know is that Hudson in this past year has changed its whole parking system. They used to have meters, okay, and they used to put quarters in it. Now the parking enforcement officers are now part of the police department. So I think what Jolene was talking about was Creed, but guy used to work for, Billy Augustine, God rest his soul. But he was a wholesale distributor, tough business, and he described something called the creep method. So you get a little bit, and then a little bit, and then a little bit, and this is, I think, what Jolene is concerned about. Anyway, these people that now are under the auspices of the Hudson Police Department, they go around with these devices and they take pictures of everyone's license. Okay, so it's a preponderance. It's a preponderance and it's something worthy of considering, you know. And the argument is whether it's a police state and everyone's being accounted for it every minute, or we have trust, you know, there's certain people just assume not trust, you know, and there are bad characters.
Yeah.
And we gotta be able to, like, you know, deal with that. At the same time, I think there's more good in the world. So, you know, it's a tough call. I'm just saying, it's the preponderance. So just about any car that parks Monday through Saturday between 9 and 5 is getting their license plate, taking a picture of it, put in, I think it's saved for 30 days. I don't know how they use it, you know, but I'm just saying, this is what's happening.
I don't know how those machines work, but I think you have to put your license plate in the machine.
There's an app, yeah.
Okay.
Someone in the back that raised their hand. Your name, ma'am?
My name is Madeline Foot. I'm a resident of Hudson.
Madeline Foot.
Yes, I believe. I'm really disturbed that flock cameras or any other type of surveillance was introduced into our community without the consent of this board. I understand that too, but I do find it like very disturbing that happened, especially since this was discussed and tabled earlier. I feel like this is a really acute abridgment of the public's trust and the democratic process, which doesn't bode well for how this technology or future technologies will be received by the community. I am concerned that at the time, whoever was in charge, didn't feel that this deserved public comment. And it raises questions about what other kinds of surveillance technology is, or will be installed without informing the public. My question is actually to the board, and I'm curious, how are you going to ensure that your constituents' input is considered featured with the democratic process is honored? Beyond that, I have a couple of specific questions on our flock cameras in the county for the chief, and would you like them for me to read them all at once, or just one at a time?
However, one of them, I'll try.
Sure. When sheriffs get access from private flock cameras, can they do so without a warrant?
Yes.
Are the installation codes for flock cameras in public crash rated according to the New York State DOT guidelines?
I don't imagine.
Don't hear me.
No.
Not
sure. Yeah, correct. They're on private property, so.
Okay, so if someone crashes into them and dies, that's the liability of the flock of the sheriff's department or the private individual who's land.
I would think this would have some degree of liability on the driver of the vehicle if they crash into something on someone's private property.
Another question I had was, where myself and others can view the contract with flock. And any other contracts you have with like similar as others.
Everything's foilable. Just send us, yeah, and you can send an email to foils that, right? Foil that, chair.
It's on your website, Sheriff. There's a form, yeah.
There's a form right on the website, yeah.
Is that contract, does that include the data retention and privacy policies? Or is that a separate issue
That's a
foiled separately?
separate policy.
Okay.
And that's a national policy for flock, 30 days.
They're changing it to 7.
They are, okay, well, they haven't changed it yet, currently it's still 30.
What kind of searches for in like using flock, do any searches that use flock data require warrants? Like if the police are using flock data in an attempt to solve a crime, is there any situation in which a warrant would be necessary to that?
I don't believe so because they're only capturing vehicles on public roads.
Thank you. And then curious what provisions are in place for data sharing between the county, individual municipalities, as well as state and federal agencies.
They share with state and local agencies only if we have a joint investigation with those states or local agencies. Aside from that, it remains with us and it auto deletes after 30 days. So if we're not working a joint case, no information leaves our office.
Thank you for asking this question.
You're welcome.
You asked a question of the
Yes, I
legislative body. For me personally, and I'm obviously just one legislator, but as I said at the beginning of this conversation, I would like to look into the validity of the current contract, because I feel like it probably did need legislative authority. And I would also like this body to consider legislation that prevents flock cameras from again, private property owners can do what they want. I do not believe that our law enforcement should be using flock plate readers. I think there's other companies. Flock is a bad actor, and they have a not very good reputation. And like you said, Ring cameras have been even more beneficial. So, from you, Sheriff, I support you in your office. I'd like to see, have flock cameras being used over the last 3 years provided 27 heroic saviors of victims because we caught.
I'll give you one where I asked specifically to look up information on a vehicle. Didn't have the plate number, but just the description of the vehicle. Where I received a phone call from a friend of mine who works in accounting who said a young man she knows just left pretty pissed off and was going to end his life. And I asked what kind of car does he drive. So I went into the investigator's office and I said, this is critical. Got somebody who's going to end his life. Can we determine a direction of travel? And we intercepted him in about 6 minutes near the Rip Van Winkle Bridge. And we're able to save his life.
Can I call you when I have a problem with somebody? Will you look into that for me too? That looks like a no.
So I just want to be clear to the public here. All of our meetings are open to the public. You're all welcome to come to any one of our meetings. We have a committee policy in the county. It goes through many steps. The agendas are all on the website. You're all welcome to come. You're all welcome to sit through these meetings and at the end, raise your hand. We're happy to answer your questions. So these things go through quite a few processes. Everything goes through a home committee, then it goes through the finance committee, and then it goes to the full board. I did see some of the postings on Facebook that were saying that we did things behind closed doors and the county board did. That's not true. It's not true. I'm the chairman of public safety. My email is on the website. You can email me anytime you'd like. I'm happy to try to answer your questions, but nothing in this body has been nefarious. We found out about this yesterday because of someone's bunch of posts here that came to us. Okay. And we looked into it immediately. We are going to follow up and we're going to have the county attorney's office see if this contract is even valid. It did not go through the proper committee process. I'm not telling you that this committee is for flock cameras or against flock cameras. We haven't had the opportunity to even sit around and talk about it. I'm sorry?
Keep them up though, right? That's cool.
I would be more than willing to have a conversation with you. Yeah,
So-
this meeting is done, and you can do that, but it really is
Hang on.
unfair for you to attempt to do that at this time. If you want to have a conversation with me as the sheriff, you do. If you want to have a conversation with me as the sheriff, after this, I'll answer any questions you have. Any of them. What I'm truly asking, out of respect and concern for everyone else here, if you can wait till the end of the meeting.
Anybody that has conversation.
Anybody,
wants to
I'll
talk about
stay,
Flock, we're gonna
I
talk
will
to you.
stay after. and
These
have a
guys have
conversation.
nothing to do with Flock. You did, right? Not these guys. You-
As
Can
the
we take them down?
sheriff,
That's fine.
as the sheriff.
Can we get rid of
Okay. Come on. We're not going to go back and forth.
No, we're not gonna listen to you. You guys said.
No, I understand that. So hang on.
Listen, I'm gonna have the best work.
What? You know what? Oh,
Because I just don't want you to be disrupted. Look, it is.
Motherfuckers.
Because everybody else is raising their hand and asking.
You want to talk to us over there privately.
That's not, no, I'm asking that you give
It's like
everyone
a
else an
private block, it's
opportunity.
like a private block that you guys whipped up.
Okay. I have other people that have questions in the back. Sir, your name, sir?
Matthew Barone from the town of Chatham. I just want to say that, while I appreciate the additional information, I will note that using a private agency, an individual or a corporation, to in effect create a governmentally accessible surveillance system is just a loophole. It doesn't make it any more valid. It doesn't, certainly doesn't join with the spirit of the founding fathers and their intentions. They would have been disgusted if they thought that there was going to be a system that was tracking everybody's movements. And if you could search and find out where you went and who you associated with. It's reprehensible that this was done. I'm not saying anything about this committee. The only thing I know about this committee is it seemed that there was some sort of executive session, which is my understanding, the public was not invited. And then today there was a vote before any commentary. And I just want to say as an aside that I believe very strongly that public meetings should start with pledge of allegiance to have us keep in mind what we're actually about. And it's a republic, not a democracy, please. But in any case, I just want to say that these sorts of things do suffer from mission creep. There are now little Bluetooth scanning add-ons that they have for these things by a company called Signal Trace or something to that effect, where they can be added to these clock systems and then track your actual devices just by the Bluetooth identifier, the same one that Lowe's uses to track you through the store and find out if you're looking for grills, which I wasn't doing, by the way. I just happened to look at them. I already had a grill, but it was interesting to receive that email asking if I was still looking for grills afterwards, and that's when I found out about that and the tracking system. Everyone's tired of Panopticon. Like my wife said, we had to put cameras on our house because when we had repeated acts of vandalism, there was no willingness to investigate, to have a little patrol stay by where the known times were, even though there was thousands of dollars of damage. There was no interest in that by the sheriff's department. There was no interest by the state police. We put up cameras at their insistence that this would be what solved it. And since we've had several incidents, including more property damage incidents, and I'll tell you how much enforcement has happened from those, 0. In fact, one of them was asking me if I was trying to tell him how to do his job, when I actually got the license plate, the actual vehicle, and the path of travel after the incident occurred. I also don't believe that we should be having license plate readers on police vehicles, frankly. Because when I'm traveling, unless I'm committing some sort of traffic violation, there's 0 reason to intercept me and detain me. And unfortunately, what those systems allow someone to do is maybe that thing pops up a little information that that person is, I'm not a convicted felon. Let's say I was, there's information that those things can provide the officer that lead to a completely unnecessary stop that's not called for. And I am not a defund the police kind of person. My uncle's a retired NYPD detective. And earned, of course, that handsome retirement that we give our New York State law enforcement officers. But in any case, I am just absolutely astounded that all of this has happened. And frankly, when people say things like, well, there was a meeting and there was this and there's agenda posted, yes, if you have several hours a day to keep track of every government agency that's going to touch on your life, then yeah, you can be at that meeting as long as you don't have a job. So it's not really something where anybody would have thought, if someone had asked to themselves, if I published this county-wide and told every newspaper that we were going to have these readers all over the place, would there be an uproar? And the answer is obviously yes, because from a couple of Facebook posts, all of a sudden I'm sweating my tuchus off here. I don't know if that thing is working over there because there's so many people. So it was never something that anybody could have a real expectation that people be okay with being tracked everywhere they go. And just because I can see someone traveling down the street and notice them doesn't mean I should follow them taking notes. And then say, here, I'd like to provide this to the parent agency or this agency or that agency. Thank you very much for your time.
Hang on, your name, sir?
Yes, Eli Berkowitz, I reside here in Hudson, Fifth Ward.
Eli Berkowitz?
Berkowitz, Berkowitz. I want to say that I share a lot of the concerns about the Mission Creek and the level of surveillance that we're all living under, and I appreciate the level of detail shared tonight, Sheriff. And want to say that my comment or my question is really about less about the sheriff's use of that, although I think that there's been some good points raised that even with the best intentions, a system like this with the level of saturation we have is concerning. You mentioned a few times the 30-day period and then the data is white. That is from, right, and that is from your system?
Flux.
Flux, national
Yeah, but,
database, white every 30 days.
apparently there's something,
There was just a press release that came out not long ago that said they're only going to keep data for 7 days.
and so if it's 7 days, their system automatically detects. That's not something we put in.
But can you download their data?
I'm sorry? No, we just have our data. We can't download. They,
You get a screenshot.
it's their software. So if they change the auto delivery to 7 days, it's 7 days.
All right. Your name?
Adonna Raymond, ADANNA. Raymond, from Conic. So I had met prior to the past year, I'm not particularly familiar with license plate tracking. It's been brought to my attention, but it's no different really from other softwares. So given that, and given the public erosion of trust in Flock and the attention that's garnered, why would Flock be the preferred vendor for the trust plan?
So if we have some type of a critical incident, and I'll just use the same one that I used before with this young man whose life we were able to save. If we have a property owner who is reluctant to give us access to the camera, then we have to write up a document, go to a judge, say, this is why we need it, have them approve it, and then we can get access to the cameras. And in a lot of instances, it's life or death. It is truly life or death. And, you know, I can say it and people can choose whether or not they want to believe it. we don't have the time or the resources to look at people's stuff. I have 11 openings. Seriously, 11 openings. And as much as I would love to have somebody sit up, every week we get a request to sit by somebody's house. You can sit in my driveway or you can do this. But get a scanner and listen to the number of calls that come in day to day. We're literally back up and going and going. And so it's really difficult to do.
So I guess a follow-up and maybe to better hone in on my question, what is the difference between what Flock can do versus other trackers? Because I think that it's been unclear what's true and what's being added when it comes to surveillance.
So the license plate readers we have in cars will only pick up the cars going by. So we download data from New York State DMV. So it costs me money to register my vehicles like it does you and insure them. But if somebody doesn't do that and they're riding around here without insurance, if they ride by, it'll show that there's an insurance lapse. So then we turn around and we get that person. But that's something that's right there. That's a violation that occurs right there. In a much bigger incident where we get a call, it allows us to, if we're looking for a direction of travel or if we're looking for someone who disappears, right? Then we can put in a description of the vehicle or the plate and try to determine a direction of travel. That's why also strategically placed at locations where you could go in opposite major roadways.
Hang on, I got another question.
But I think, I
Hang on
know
a second.
public letters. I think what she's asking is instead of Flock, for example, Motorola Solutions, Recore Systems, there's other ALPR automated license plate readers that don't have the reputation that Flock has, that do the same thing, but I've never heard an outcry about Motorola Solutions being installed in a city. So I think that was your question.
Sure. Right, you had a question,
Yeah,
ma'am, I
yeah.
think,
So
did you raise
can
your
I
hand?
have him answer that?
Yeah, okay. I just can shed a little bit of light on how we came across, Flock in the initial part on the investigative grant, insurance department. At the time that we entered into the contract with Flock, they were sharing their API, their data with Axon, and they had a partnership with Axon, who we already had an account with, through our body cameras and our in-car cameras, which made searching the databases more, user interfaces was more, reliable for, entry-level, issues. I do think that a lot of it comes from Flock being the most popular out there. From seeing the, amount of cameras just in the Northeast, Flock outpaces every single other company. So I don't even know of any agency. I work with a lot of, agencies in New York State, and I don't know of any using, I know some using Recore. I don't know of any using Motorola currently. Which is strange because Motorola does have a contract with most agencies, radios. So Flock offered at the time the best solution with interfacing with our current equipment, so we're going to have to purchase more or that. Plus, it did have the best cameras, like the most reliable, that are just going to take pictures of license plates.
Brenda, go ahead.
This will be really obvious and fun. If you find levels of Flock cameras, like I have an iPhone 13, you have 17 or 16. So is the reputation, what I've understood about the reputation, is people are concerned about the more advanced software application. And if we're not buying those advanced software, is that somewhere?
I do believe like any, private company or any, government resource company, they plan to enhance their abilities and to sell to different people. At the point that we have, we only are interested. We only want, they make surveillance cameras just like Motorola and everything like that. I'm guessing they're branching into that field as well, but that is not something that we have any interest in at this time.
Okay, you had a question, right? Yeah. Can you state your name and
Gina Guido.
Guido?
So my question is, you're saying that Flock is a matter of life and death, right? I think for your friend.
Yeah, for that particular instance,
And
yeah.
that's why you're so.
Yeah.
But when it was presented to the committee, the public safety committee, they all said no. So I feel like they
would be more of a representation of what Flock is about versus your friend.
Just to be clear, we did not say no. What happened was it went, because it was contract negotiation or discussion, it went into executive session and the committee came back out of executive session and tabled it. And said we tabled it because we needed more information. We weren't at that point ready to vote for it. So we were waiting for them to bring back.
When did you vote for it to pass?
We never did. We never did.
That's normal how that happens.
No, not no. That's what I was saying
It's a
earlier.
procedural issue.
It's a procedural
To
issue.
me, that's sneaky. So
They're gonna research it with the county attorney to see if it's
So
on track.
when can we come back to public so we can find out these
We meet once a
answers?
month.
Once a month.
We meet once a month.
And then
Yeah.
can we talk again next week?
Absolutely.
Okay, because I know a lot of people are very interested in these,
Sure.
like saying,
There's no board meeting next week.
and they want them down.
Finance.
Nobody likes this.
I get
I get you too.
Your name?
It's an investigative tool. That's
It's,
what
I know, but it's also here's the balance.
Your name?
Alden Aldenson.
Raina?
Yes, RAENA.
Okay.
I heard you say that, and you don't have time to watch the people. I also heard you acknowledge that you have been audited this wonderful. My question is, you also mentioned that there's human nature. My question is there a policy and procedure for if, non-second session, if someone within your jurisdiction does commit an action like that? Is there any policy and consequence? What is it? And is the public made aware immediately if that happens?
I will tell you that, access will immediately be terminated. And they would have to go through a supervisor to get any information that they need.
So if you're saying that how they would have to submit the app, or there's like an algorithm that would stop them if they were in the nefarious act of attempted.
They would be able to get back in the system if through an audit we determine that they've done something nefarious. They wouldn't be able to get back into it.
And with that, so they wouldn't be allowed to get back in the system, but if they were employed by the sheriff's department, would they be terminated?
It all depends on what they did. Yeah, it all depends on the level of what they did. I'm a huge integrity person.
And
It all depends on what they did.
so no matter what they did, if it's any act caused them to be locked out of the system, is the public made aware of that, or is it held internally?
That's typically internally. Yeah.
Did you have a question, sir? No? Anybody else? We gotta wrap this up soon just because we have another meeting scheduled, but Supervisor?
I just wanted to make a point to what you're saying, right? Flock is the go-to and it has contracts with and is aligned with things. It's just like an Amazon, right? We're in an oligarchical situation. Palantir is the funder of Flock and why it exists, right? And we don't have to go into Peter Thiel, except that we should, except that that's who invested in this to make it as he wants a surveillance state. But this is backed by the biggest money in this country to create a surveillance state. So that's why people have concerns. It's not just a kind of like, works pretty well with that, other parents have, so it's great. Just to say that they think there is a balance between, and this is what this committee is, public safety, right? What does public safety mean? Public safety is protecting people from getting harmed, being harmed, but there is also protecting us from being harmed as a public, as an individual. And I think that just sort of, we have to consider that as part of public safety. And so not necessarily see like the anger over surveillance that like they don't know what we have to deal with, but we're like, well, there are two aspects to what public safety is. Many of us are feeling very not safe. I don't actually believe that even if they say the data is deleted, we know that all the data that was deleted by Elon Musk when they took over Doge, like they have that data. Like Palantir and the companies that created this will have data. We may not have it, but someone has it. So that's the concern.
Yeah, so to that, I will say, my responsibility is to the residents of Columbia County. So for the residents of Columbia County, I can assure you that we are not maintaining the data. I can assure you, as it was asked of me, that we are not sharing the data with ICE. I have stated since I've been the underchair, I stated on the campaign trail, and I continue to state that I don't work with HUDs. And in fact, Governor Hochul has stated that no police agency in New York State now can enter into any 287G agreement with immigration. So there's there should be no concerns about that.
I just wanted to point out the fact too, is that, and you mentioned Governor Hochul, but Governor Hochul in New York State is investing heavily into this technology. And that's where this money is coming from. For Columbia County, Dutchess County, Albany County, is from New York State.
Can I just ask quick questions?
Go ahead.
Two questions. Is there a ceiling on the number of clock cameras that the county sheriff is going to install based on the, I guess, the establishment of the Veritas of this contract? I mean,
We have no intent to procure more cameras.
and the other question was, on the patrol cars, you have clock cameras right now, you say that
No, Axon.
the Axon can do license plate recognition. Do they immediately pick up violations of the owner of that license plate?
What kind of violations?
Well, she said failure to maintain insurance.
Suspended registration could be flagged. It's on a hot list that's compiled by the DMV.
So it's no longer like probable cause, you can just get a ping and you can pull that person over for, say, internal information. You can pull the external.
Everything that is hit on an LPR is required to be verified through an updated portal. So a portal that we use on stop a vehicle, we call it in dispatch. It's not enough to just hit on a license plate recognition. You would have to actually verify that information is active and current and sufficient to come over that.
But you get an alert in the patrol car in real time and you can then pull that person over.
No, first you would verify that that vehicle is in fact suspended. Say a vehicle passed by and it says it's suspended, that list that it's generated from could have been from 6 a.m. this morning, and you could have fixed the registration insurance lapse at 8 o'clock. So that list that it points from could be from 6 o'clock, it could be outdated, so the person would actually run that vehicle in the actual updated system, confirm, which we do if I type in a plate or whatever like that, and then you would confirm, and that would be your suspicion or probable cause to go over it.
Thank you.
Sir?
I'm Spencer Wolf. I just want to ask how you guys, because we don't understand the cameras that you guys have now. Did you use some AI elements? Is that correct?
I would imagine
The flock
any
cameras.
camera has
Yeah,
some
yeah.
AI technology in order to be able to capture a license plate. Yeah.
And so do you guys have a certain, because from what I've seen, some that even with the best intentions, they could be, led astray by the AI putting up some false information. Do you guys have any method of kind of working through or verifying that? I know you said the portal.
Absolutely. So, any kind of hit, we are required to verify that, because sometimes it could be a mystery, right? Like it could, instead of an E, it could be an E and just be dirt, right? So every hit, every alert is verified via the portal, direct observation from one of our guys, or anything like that. So obviously AI has been used. It couldn't tell the difference between a license plate and a fence sign otherwise, right? It was just 15 letters. So AI has been used in that sense for a very long time. It looks for that specific, combination of, a standardized size letter or number. But there are other AI advantages to it. But like I said, everything AI requires a verification from, an end user.
And in the end, with the upgraded technology, everything from cameras to DNA, that has really progressed over the years. In any police investigation, it always comes down to a conversation where we have to do good old fashioned police work and put everything together in order to bring this case to prosecution. So, you can have all the investigative tools, but we still have to do this component of good old fashioned police work and investigative skills.
One more question. No, hang on.
But the young lady up top.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see
I
you.
know we're very tight on time. I'm really good.
Go ahead.
Appreciate all of
Your
guys'
name?
time. My name is Sarah Loverin. I'm a resident of Hudson. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate all of your guys' time. This is obviously a very important topic for a lot of citizens of this county, of the state, obviously of the country at large. This is a big, big subject that I do not think should be limited to one, moment of public comment. Obviously, we could have an entire meeting, if not several, about this. So that said, part of the questions that I have will be somewhat rhetorical. I think that I just really would like them on the record so that we can obviously continue this conversation. For one, Madam Chair, like the first question that I, do have, the big one, big overarching one is the idea of audits and oversight. I do understand that audits are not only part of Flock's internal system, but the sheriff's office and the NYPD, any police department or entity that has entered into a contract has some sort of system of auditing that they do have access to. That said, at the beginning of December of last year, Flock did change their policy that they did actually send out a bunch of, messaging about to every contract participant that they were going to start redacting and keeping certain information from even those that entered into contracts with them. Whether or not that was an oversweeping thing, it was made, aware to any sort of contract holder at large that you weren't actually going to have all of the information that was captured. That said, it's like when we do try to, look into those FOIA requests, and try to get that information of, who's conducting the search, what's the reason, what's the case number. Yes, there are, conversations around privacy and all of that when it comes to, citizens looking up and trying to do that oversight. We don't obviously want to have concerns there. But then having fully redacted records or having everything redacted except for the date, the length of time that they searched, the associated source party, and then a reason, which oftentimes when I looked said test or training. And when 97% of the searches have test or training, that doesn't seem right, especially when we go back years. Obviously, again, we're not saying that this is an overarching theme, but it's enough to the effect that it's obviously raised concerns. I think that the question is there are too many questions, and there's too many things that, are just left up for interpretation, and that unfortunately is not all on your office. It's not all on the state. Just because things are done this way doesn't make it okay. Obviously, this is a process. But that said, when it comes to information sharing, Flock is able to share that information however they deem fit. And then they're able to take it beyond your office. It doesn't belong to you, it belongs to them. That's part of your contract. And so it's, our concern is, of course, are they also looking out for our best interest? Obviously, you guys are elected officials. Your job is to look out for our best interest. That's why you're here. So our concern is, of course, it's not you that we're going after. It's the idea that we want to make sure that we're all safe and well taken after. And I understand you have a point, but I understand this.
I understand. Relax.
No, yeah, absolutely. I understand your concern. I can only say that on our end, regardless of what Flock does, we have chosen to do internal audits.
Absolutely. And yes,
integrity.
the concern is that
Yeah.
when those audits, when those requests for the Freedom of Information Act are filed, am I still seeing redactions? Yes.
So FOIL law.
So when I have an officer, how do I know that this, if one officer is the one, doing all of these things without a warrant? What if they're looking at the same license plate?
So
We've got
you can't get
multiple examples of stalking, that have resulted, as a matter of
By
fact.
law,
We've got
we
lack of
can't
password
get
protection. Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
By law, we can't give people's personal information. That's a part of the FOIL law.
Absolutely.
We can't even release anything that is enacted in open investigation.
Sure.
So there are so many rules in the FOIL law that we have to follow. And that's why you get the redactions. Anything that you are entitled to, we get.
Sure. And I guess, yeah, and again, broader conversation, again, I would love for, public conversation to continue beyond this. You can do a whole meeting, obviously, to go to the subject. I will tell you a follow-up question there. I
I'm
guess,
sorry,
would be-
but we need to get moving on. I can't have you ask.
I intend to go around the county. We are putting together a series of conversations with the sheriff. And as soon as we get those dates together, I will post them. And we can have coffee and whatever and have a conversation about anything you guys want to. And I will tell you that for you who live in Hudson, I do. I have had a conversation with the owners of Hudson Roastery. For the chief and I to get together and have a conversation. So
Absolutely.
just go to our website,
Get
please,
that
and
on
look at
the
the
county
dates.
record though?
I'm sorry.
Is it
Thank you.
possible
Just
to have
real
those conversations
briefly.
on the county record?
Yeah, if you come back to the meeting.
I know we want to wrap up, but I just want to make one point. I think just about everybody in this room is already has on their person a tracking device.
Yep.
And if you left home without it, you would be very distressed. You know, so I mean, this is just something that's been going on, and that's all I gotta say.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Again,
everyone.
if you want to attend any other meetings, please feel free to. We welcome that. And thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.